Stop scrolling for a second. While everyone else was busy planning, preparing, getting ready to maybe one day try something, you just did it. No hesitation, no doubt, no second guessing. And now you're sitting here wondering why it felt so easy for you when others couldn't even get themselves to start. There's a reason for that. And it's not what you think. You know that moment when everyone's standing around talking about doing something big? They're all hyping each other up, making plans, discussing strategy. And then there's you. You don't say much. You just go. You take that first step while they're still debating whether shoes are necessary for the journey. This has happened more than once in your life, hasn't it? You've done things that others only dreamed about. Things that people said were impossible until you proved them wrong by actually doing them. And the craziest part? It didn't even feel that hard to you. Today, we're going to talk about why that is. Why you've accomplished things throughout your life that no one else even attempted. Why you're always the first one to cross finish lines that others didn't know existed. But here's the thing that's been eating at you. Nobody really acknowledges it, do they? When you do something incredible, something that should be celebrated, people have weird reactions. Some get quiet, some get defensive. Some try to downplay what you did or find reasons why it wasn't actually that impressive. You felt it, that strange tension in the room when you achieve something significant. It's like people don't know whether to congratulate you or protect their own ego from the comparison. And it's made you start to question yourself. Maybe what you did wasn't that special. Maybe you just got lucky. Maybe it's not worth talking about. So you stay quiet about your achievements. You shrink yourself down. You learn to hide your light because shining it makes others uncomfortable. You start to wonder if there's something wrong with you. Why can't you just be normal? Why do you always have to be the one pushing boundaries, breaking barriers, doing things first? The real problem isn't what you've accomplished. The real problem is that you've been surrounded by people your entire life who operate on a completely different frequency than you do. And they've convinced you that your frequency is the problem. They've made you feel like your natural abilities, your instincts, your drive to just do things without overthinking them, that somehow that's arrogance or recklessness or showing off. It's none of those things. It's something else entirely. Let's go back to the beginning. Think about your childhood for a second. There were signs even then, weren't there? When other kids were afraid to climb the tall tree, you were already at the top. When everyone else needed detailed instructions for a task, you figured out by feel. When others hesitated at the edge of the pool, you jumped in. You've always been like this. It's not something you learned. It's not a skill you developed. It's who you are at your core. But here's what nobody told you. Here's what you've been missing this whole time. You're not just someone who acts quickly or thinks differently. You're what some would call a chosen one. And I know how that sounds. I know it feels weird to even consider. But stay with me because this explains everything. Every strange experience you've had. Every time you've done the impossible. Every moment when you knew something before you should have known it. The chosen one isn't some movie character with superpowers. It's not about being better than others or having some kind of special destiny written in the stars. It's much simpler and much stranger than that. You're someone who came here with your blueprint already intact. While others are spending their lives trying to figure out who they are and what they're supposed to do, you already know. You might not know it consciously. You might not be able to put it into words, but your soul knows. Your deeper self knows. And that's why you just do things. Think about it. When you accomplish a thing that no one else had done before, did you spend months psyching yourself up for it? Did you create a detailed plan with contingencies and backup options? Probably not. You probably just felt a pull, an instinct, a knowing that said this is yours to do. And you trusted it. You followed it. You acted on it without needing external validation or permission or proof that it would work. That's not how most people operate. Most people need certainty before they move. They need guarantees. They need someone else to go first and prove it's possible. They need a roadmap and a safety net and a cheering section. You don't. You never have. And that's not because you're reckless or fearless. It's because you're tapped into something that others aren't connected to yet. Let me tell you a story that might sound familiar. There was a woman, let's call her Sarah, who worked at a regular corporate job. Nothing special about it. She was good at what she did, but she felt this constant restlessness, like she was meant for something else. Everyone around her was content climbing the corporate ladder, getting promotions, buying houses, doing the normal thing. But Sarah kept having these ideas, these visions of a completely different life, a business she could start, a way to help people that didn't exist yet in the market. Her friends told her to be realistic. Her family said she should be grateful for her stable job with benefits. Her co-workers thought she was crazy when she mentioned her ideas, so she stayed quiet about it. But the pull didn't go away. It got stronger. And one day, without telling anyone, she just did it. She registered a business name. She created a website. She reached out to her first potential client. Within 6 months, she had left her corporate job and was running a successful business. Within 2 years, she had built something that her former company actually hired her to do for them as a consultant. She became the first person in her industry to approach the problem from a completely different angle. And everyone called it overnight success. But it wasn't overnight. It was years of feeling different, years of fighting that pull, years of trying to be normal when normal never fit right. And then one moment of finally surrendering to what she already knew she was meant to do. That's you. That's your story too, even if the details are different. You've done this throughout your life in different ways. Maybe it was a creative project you completed while others just talked about their ideas. Maybe it was a physical challenge you conquered when everyone said it was too hard. Maybe it was a relationship you walked away from when everyone else would have stayed and suffered. Maybe it was a move to a new city with no plan, just trust. Maybe it was starting something from scratch that became wildly successful. The specifics don't matter. What matters is the pattern. You act, you move, you do, while others wait and wonder and wish. And here's the part that's going to make sense of everything. You're not lucky. You're not special in some ego-feeding way. You're aligned. You're connected to your inner knowing in a way that most people have lost connection to. Think about it like this. Everyone is born with an internal compass, a guidance system. But most people spend their entire childhood and teenage years being taught to ignore it. Do what you're told. Follow the rules. Color inside the lines. Don't be different. Don't stand out. Don't trust yourself. Trust the authority figures. By the time most people are adults, that internal compass is buried under so many layers of conditioning and fear and doubt that they can't even hear it anymore. But you, something in you refused to bury it. Maybe you were rebellious as a kid. Maybe you were labeled as difficult or stubborn or too independent. Maybe you got in trouble for not following instructions exactly right because you found a better way. That wasn't you being defiant. That was you protecting your connection to your inner knowing. And because you kept that connection alive, you can still access it now. That's why you just do things. You're not operating from your thinking mind that needs proof and logic and guarantees. You're operating from your knowing. And knowing doesn't need proof. Knowing just knows. This is why you've been the first to do things. You're not waiting for permission from the external world. You're not waiting for conditions to be perfect. You're not waiting until you feel ready. You're following the pull. And the pull always comes before the path reveals itself. That's the secret that most people never learn. They think they need to see the whole staircase before they take the first step. But that's not how it works for people like you. You take the first step, and the staircase builds itself as you climb. Let me share another pattern you've probably noticed. When you do accomplish something significant, something that truly matters, there's this moment right after where it almost feels anticlimactic. You thought you'd feel more excited. You thought there'd be this huge rush of celebration and joy. But instead, there's just this quiet knowing, this sense of course this happened. Almost like you already knew it would work out this way. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. When you're acting from your true path, success doesn't surprise you. It confirms what you already knew at a deeper level. But then comes the part that's harder to deal with, other people's reactions. You experienced this so many times. You achieve something remarkable, and instead of pure celebration, you get a mix of reactions that confuse you. Some people are genuinely happy for you, but others get weird. They make backhanded compliments. They point out why it's not that impressive. They bring up someone else who did something vaguely similar. They change the subject quickly. They get competitive. They distance themselves from you. This has hurt you more than you probably admit, because you're not trying to make anyone feel bad. You're not trying to show off or prove you're better. You're literally just being yourself and following your path. But the people who are disconnected from their own inner knowing, watching you succeed by just being yourself is threatening. It holds up a mirror to their own fears and limitations. It shows them what's possible if they trusted themselves. And most people aren't ready to face that mirror. So instead of looking at themselves, they try to dim your light. They try to make you smaller, so they feel less confronted by their own smallness. Here's what you need to understand. Their reaction has nothing to do with you. Nothing. When someone gets uncomfortable with your success, that's information about them, not about you. They're uncomfortable because they're not living authentically. They're not following their own inner knowing. They're playing by rules that were given to them instead of creating from their own truth. And your existence proves that there's another way. That's scary for them. So they cope by trying to convince you and themselves that your way is wrong, or lucky, or not sustainable, or whatever story they need to tell themselves to avoid facing their own path. This is why you probably felt lonely even when surrounded by people. You're operating on a different frequency. You're playing a different game. You're following different rules. And most people can't understand that because they've never experienced it. They've never felt that pull so strongly that they had no choice but to follow it. They've never trusted themselves so completely that they moved without proof. They've never been so aligned that success felt inevitable. But you have, over and over again throughout your life. And every single time, it's taught you something. It's shown you that you can trust yourself, that your instincts are accurate, that your inner knowing is reliable, that you don't need external validation to move forward. Each accomplishment hasn't just been about the thing itself. It's been about building your trust in your own guidance system. It's been about proving to yourself that you're different for a reason, that your way of moving through the world works, that you can do things others can't because you're willing to do things others won't. And what others won't do isn't usually something hard or scary. It's something simple. Trust themselves. Take the first step without seeing the whole path. Act on inspiration without needing logic to back it up. Move when the timing feels right instead of when conditions are perfect. Be okay with other people not understanding. Be okay with doing things that haven't been done before. Be okay with being first. Let's talk about what being first really means. Because you've been first at things throughout your life. First to try something in your friend group. First to break a family pattern. First to create something new in your field. First to speak up about something important. First to take a risk that everyone said was foolish. Being first is lonely. There's no template to follow. No one to ask for advice who's been there before. No proof that it's going to work. No safety in numbers. Just you and your knowing and your willingness to trust enough to move. But being first is also powerful. Because once you do it, you change what's possible. You create a new template. You show others that it can be done. You break the barrier that was holding everyone else back. And here's the beautiful part. You don't do it for recognition or glory or to be remembered in history books. You do it because you have to. Because staying stuck feels worse than the fear of moving forward. Because the pull is so strong that not following it would be a betrayal of yourself. Because at some deep level, you know this is why you're here. You're here to break new ground. Not for everyone, just for you. And in breaking new ground for yourself, you happen to create pathways that others can follow if they choose. But that's not your job. Your job isn't to save anyone, or lead anyone, or prove anything to anyone. Your job is to follow your own knowing so completely that you become a living example of what's possible when someone trusts themselves fully. Think about the times in your life when you've done this. Really think about them. That moment when you made a decision that everyone questioned but you knew was right. Remember how it felt in your body. That calm certainty. That quiet confidence. That wasn't ego. That was alignment. You were so connected to your truth in that moment that external opinions couldn't shake you. And what happened after? I'm willing to bet it worked out. Maybe not exactly how you pictured. Maybe better. Maybe different, but still right. Maybe harder than expected, but worth it. But it worked out because you were following your true path. And then there were other times when you didn't follow that knowing. Times when you listened to other people instead of yourself. Times when you let fear or doubt or the need for approval override your inner guidance. How did those situations turn out? Probably not great, right? Probably full of struggle and frustration and feeling stuck. That's not punishment. That's just what happens when you're not aligned. When you're living someone else's life instead of your own. When you're following rules that don't apply to you. Here's something most people don't understand about chosen ones. Being chosen doesn't mean life is easy. It doesn't mean you get special treatment or avoid challenges or have everything handed to you. Actually, it's often the opposite. You face bigger challenges because you're here to do bigger things. You experience more resistance because you're breaking more barriers. You feel more alone because fewer people understand your path. But you also have more access to your inner guidance, more trust in yourself, more capacity to handle what comes, more resilience because you've proven to yourself over and over that you can do hard things. Every time you've been first at something, every time you've accomplished what others said was impossible, every time you've just done it while others were still planning, you've been building evidence. Evidence that you're different. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Evidence that your way works. And that evidence becomes a foundation for the next impossible thing. The next first. The next moment when you move while others watch in disbelief. But here's where it gets interesting. You've been doing this unconsciously for most of your life. Following pulls. Acting on instincts. Moving when it felt right. But you probably haven't fully owned it. You probably haven't stood in the power of what you've accomplished. You probably haven't looked at the pattern of your life and recognized it for what it is. A pattern of being first. A pattern of doing the impossible. A pattern of achieving what others only dream about. And the reason you haven't owned it is because the world taught you that owning your power is arrogant or egotistical or too much. But that's a lie. Owning your power isn't about thinking you're better than others. It's about recognizing who you are and what you're capable of so you can step into it more fully. It's about stopping the self-doubt that keeps you playing small. It's about trusting yourself so completely that you stop questioning every move. It's about being okay with being different instead of constantly trying to fit in. It's about accepting that you're here to break new ground, not follow old paths. So here's the moment of truth. Right now, as you're reading this or listening to this or however you're taking this in, you have a choice. You can keep doing what you've been doing. Keep achieving things and then shrinking yourself down. Keep being first and then apologizing for it. Keep following your knowing but questioning it every step of the way. Keep hiding your light to make others comfortable. Or you can make a different choice. You can decide right now that you're done playing small, that you're done doubting yourself, that you're done caring more about other people's comfort than your own truth. This is your moment. The universe didn't bring you here by accident. You didn't accomplish all those impossible things by luck. You didn't become the first to do things because of coincidence. It happened because that's who you are. That's what you came here to do. And the only question is whether you're ready to fully accept it, to own it, to stand in it without apology or explanation, to stop seeking validation from people who are playing a completely different game, to trust yourself so completely that their opinions become irrelevant noise in the background of your knowing. Because here's what happens when you make that choice. When you fully step into your power as someone who just does things. When you stop apologizing for being first. When you own every accomplishment without shrinking. Everything changes. Not externally necessarily. The world might look the same. But internally, everything shifts. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop wasting energy trying to explain yourself to people who aren't meant to understand. You stop dimming your light and start shining it brighter than ever before. And when you do that, when you fully embody who you really are, you become unstoppable. Not in an aggressive way, not in a forceful way, in a flowing way, in an aligned way. You move with such certainty and clarity that obstacles dissolve before you even reach them. Opportunities appear because you're finally vibrating at the frequency of your true self. People who are meant to support you show up because you're no longer hiding who you are. Doors open that were invisible before, because you're finally walking the path you were meant to walk instead of the path you thought you should walk. This entire time, you've been the first in history to do things in your own unique way, in your own life, in your own sphere of influence. And every single time you did it, you proved to yourself and the universe that you can be trusted with more, that you're ready for the next level, that you're willing to keep breaking new ground, even when it's lonely and scary and uncertain. You've been building a legacy of being first, a legacy of trusting yourself, a legacy of doing the impossible. And the only thing that's been holding you back from fully stepping into that legacy is your own resistance to owning it. So stop resisting. Stop playing small. Stop apologizing for being who you are. Stop seeking validation from people who are threatened by your light. Stop questioning your accomplishments. Stop downplaying your achievements. Stop waiting for permission to be fully yourself. You already are the chosen one. You already have done things no one else even tried. You already are first in history, in your own way. The only thing left to do is accept it, own it, embody it, and then watch what happens when you stop holding yourself back. You came here for this. Every challenge you face has prepared you for this. Every time you were first, you were practicing for this. Every moment you trusted yourself against all external logic, you were building the foundation for this. This moment right now where you decide to stop playing small and start being exactly who you were born to be, a chosen one, someone who just does things, someone who is first, someone who accomplishes the impossible while others are still debating whether to try. That's who you are. That's who you've always been. And that's who you'll continue to be for the rest of your life. The only question is whether you'll own it consciously and use it powerfully, or keep doing it unconsciously while doubting yourself every step of the way. Choose consciously. Choose powerfully. Choose yourself. Because you've already proven you can do things no one else can do. Now it's time to stop being surprised by that and start expecting it. Start knowing it. Start being it fully and completely without apology or hesitation. You are the chosen one who didn't wait for permission, who didn't need proof, who just did it. And you'll do it again and again and again for the rest of your life. Because that's not just what you do. That's who you are. Subscribe for more truth about who you really are